Good day, my name is Walter Hang. I'm the president of Toxics Targeting. We're an environmental database firm in Ithaca, New York. And for the last 10 years, we've played an instrumental role in making sure that New York remains 100% shale fracking free. Today, I am announcing a new campaign to require Governor Cuomo to enact a comprehensive statewide statutory prohibition on all forms of high-volume hydraulic fracturing using water, gel propane, or any other fluids. New York's purported high-volume hydraulic fracturing prohibition was adopted in 2015, but that high-volume hydraulic fracturing definition is limited to using water as a fracking fluid. As a result, waterless gel propane fracking proposed circa 2012 in Barton, New York is specifically not barred. Gel propane fracking shares all of the fundamental public health and environmental hazards of hydrofracking using water. Plus, it is highly flammable and potentially explosive. It would be unthinkable and irresponsible of Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to allow gel propane fracking to proceed in Barton, New York, or anywhere else in our state, given that the State Department of Health concluded in 2014 that high-volume hydraulic fracturing must not be allowed in New York State. Quote, "Until the science provides sufficient information to determine the level of risk to public health from high-volume hydraulic fracturing to all New Yorkers and whether the risk can be adequately managed, Department of Health recommends that high-volume hydraulic fracturing should not proceed in New York State." Given that New York State has not conducted any review whatsoever of the proposed gel propane fracking project, Toxics Targeting has posted a self-explanatory coalition letter which requests that Governor Cuomo, quote, "take immediate action to submit a bill to the New York State Legislature and make sure it is enacted into law in order to establish a comprehensive statewide statutory prohibition on all forms of high-volume hydraulic fracturing using water, gel propane, or any other fluid." So this is the proposed project. It is currently beginning to undergo review, and we're also asking Governor Cuomo to adopt a moratorium on reviewing this permit to drill using gel propane hydraulic fracturing. Again, this has never been the subject of an environmental or public health review, and it would just be inconceivable of the governor to allow this project to go forward with a review conducted by the actual party that wants to do this project. So this is our request that the governor take immediate action to enact a comprehensive New York State statutory prohibition of all forms of hydraulic fracturing using water, gel propane, or any other fluids. And you can go to toxicstargeting.com, and this is posted at the top of our homepage. And so we're basically saying in June 2015, the Department of Environmental Conservation purported to adopt a prohibition of this highly polluting natural gas and oil extraction method, high-volume hydraulic fracturing, after a 7-year review. Unfortunately, that review limited shale fracking to using water, and this is called hydrofracking. So gel propane was not included in that landmark investigation. It deliberately excluded highly flammable and potentially explosive waterless gel propane fracking that had been proposed in Barton, New York, circa 2012. If approved, that project reportedly could allow gel propane fracking under more than 130,000 acres in Tioga County, as well as elsewhere in New York's Marcellus Shale formation. So this project was absolutely well known, and for some inexplicable reason, Governor Cuomo did not include the waterless gel propane fracking in the statewide prohibition on fracking with water. And so we're basically asking him to resolve this problem once and for all by introducing a bill to the New York State Legislature and making sure it's enacted into law. In the meantime, because the legislature is currently in recess, we want him to adopt a moratorium on gel propane fracking. Again, because there's never been a public health or environmental impact assessment. So basically, the problems associated with gel propane cannot be mitigated. And essentially, the state concluded, based on unavoidable adverse environmental impacts and uncertainty regarding the science surrounding high-volume hydraulic fracturing and its potential impacts to public health and the environment, the department finds that the best course of action is to select a no-action alternative for the supplemental generic environmental impact statement. Selection of the no-action alternative means that the department will not establish a high-volume hydraulic fracturing permitting program, that no individual or site-specific permit applications for wells using high-volume hydraulic fracturing will be processed, and that high-volume hydraulic fracturing will be prohibited in New York State. And so we're basically saying that prohibition has to be extended to gel propane fracking and all other forms of non-water fracking, because all of these fracking methods share the same vast industrialization and polluting hazards. The amazing thing about the Tioga Partners proposal is that the state is essentially saying that a draft supplemental generic environmental impact statement can be undertaken for gel propane shale fracking based on a 1992 generic environmental impact statement. And the state determined in 2008 that this outdated GIS was wholly insufficient to regulate high-volume hydraulic fracturing in New York. That's how come the supplemental generic environmental impact statement was required. And in 2014, it was determined that shale fracking couldn't be done safely in New York. So it would be absolutely unacceptable to review gel propane fracking under this ancient generic environmental impact statement. And so that's how come we're basically saying there has to be a statutory prohibition adopted into law. The incredible thing is that in addition to gel propane waterless fracturing, you can actually, under federal authorization, frack with diesel fuel. This is incredibly toxic. It's outmoded. It can't possibly be tolerated in New York. Dumping oil on the ground can in turn incur heavy fines. So using this for fracking makes no sense whatsoever. There are other kinds of fracking that might not meet the definition of high-volume hydrofracking that was adopted by the state of New York, including fracking with foam. And so you can go to that definition, and it's high volume hydraulic fracturing is defined as the stimulation of a well using 300,000 or more gallons of water as the base fluid for hydraulic fracturing. So that's a very limited definition. And now we're going to be basically requesting that the governor take immediate urgent action to safeguard New York from all forms of gel propane, diesel, and other waterless fracking methods, and then adopt a statutory prohibition of all forms of high volume hydraulic fracturing. Many groups have misled the public by saying that fracking has been banned in New York. That's simply not true, and that's how come we're taking action to circulate this coalition letter and make sure that the governor hears loud and clear from thousands of citizens, elected officials, groups, and neighborhood organizations that we simply don't want any form of fracking in New York State. We're one of the few states that have actually prohibited high-volume hydraulic fracturing of any kind, and we're really the only state that has done that where there is shale to frack. Most of the other states have adopted symbolic prohibitions. In conclusion, toxics targeting has worked with citizens and elected officials and groups all over the state of New York and from coast to coast to make sure that New York is protected from fracking hazards. Citizens have worked night and day, incessantly for 10 years. We're the only state that has been so successful at prohibiting shale fracking. We're not going to give up now. We're going to double down. We're going to kill gel propane fracking, diesel fracking, all forms of fracking. And I want to close by noting that one of the most important and stalwart advocates was Karen Glauber with New York Residents Against Drilling. She worked so hard. She worked under such incredible sacrifice, and she recently passed away. And we're very, very sorry that she's gone. But she is emblematic of the citizens that have made sure that their communities are worth fighting for. They have never given up, and that's how come we've been successful. So I invite all citizens who are concerned about fracking, all elected representatives, go to toxicstargeting.com, click on the homepage, become a signatory to our coalition letter. We've already received massive press coverage, so we have just begun to fight to make sure that New York is permanently protected from high-volume hydraulic fracturing. Thank you very much. I'm Walter Hang. I'm the president of Toxics Targeting. Visit us at toxicstargeting.com. Click on Marcellus Shale. Thank you so much.